Welcome back to the news today. Some 200 nations attending the Global Climate Summit in Paris agreed on a landmark accord on Saturday, setting the course for a transformation of the world's fossil fuel-driven economy within decades. Or Shapira has the details.
L'accord de Paris pour le climat est accepté.
Spirits are sky high after representatives of 195 countries meeting in Paris accepted a comprehensive climate change deal on Saturday after 4 years of negotiations.
When historians look back on this day, very historic day, they will say that global cooperation to secure a future safe from climate change took a dramatic U-turn here in Paris.
Le 12 décembre 2015.
December 12, 2015 will remain a great date for the planet. In Paris there have been lots of revolutions for centuries, but it's the most beautiful and the most peaceful of the revolutions which has been achieved today, the revolution for climate change.
The main highlights of the agreement includes limiting the increase in the global average temperature to well below 2 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels and to try bring the level to 1.5 Celsius above pre-industrial levels if possible.
In short, this agreement will mean less of the carbon pollution that threatens our planet and more of the jobs and economic growth driven by low carbon investment.
However, not everyone is pleased with this historic agreement. Demonstrators outside the COP21 summit in Paris complained the deal is not well defined and that it will be hard to enforce its key elements since sanctions won't be imposed on countries who won't meet their agreed upon emission reductions.
They're too much in the pockets of the oil and gas corporation.
The deal needs to be ratified by individual governments before taking effect. The results will be reviewed in 2023 and then once every 5 years. As studies show that 2015 is likely to be the warmest year on record, the burden of proof that the deal can bring about change now stands on the world's countries themselves.
And with me right now here in the studio is Netta Chitov, environment correspondent for Haaretz Daily newspaper. Good evening.
Good evening.
And also Dr. Alex Koman, a value creation expert at the Academic College of Tel Aviv. Good evening.
Good evening.
Before you will ruin the party for us,
I
will go to the good news.
Sure. To the optimistic part of the table.
Yes. Let's talk about one word that basically changed the agreement from they should to they shall.
Yes.
And this word was very important in this specific agreement.
Yeah, there are many things that were semantic in this agreement. One of them is this word. Another is as soon as possible. So there is no time frame for the countries that they must do something. But we do have the time frame of every 5 years they will be rechecked. Another thing, it's not called a treaty. So Obama would not have to go to the Republican, led Senate and ratify it over there,
which probably
would not happen.
Not happen with the Republicans.
Yeah, so there were many things that were made in this agreement that everybody will be able to sign it, but still, it's really, really exciting. It's like, think of a Hollywood film where monsters or UFOs are coming, and then all the world has to do something together in order to fight it. This is the thing. This is what happened yesterday in Paris.
And basically, they agreed on doing something.
Yes.
And let's go to the bad news because Alex Koman here for the bad news. What are the chances that they actually will be able to do something after signing this agreement?
I feel that Netta brought the bad news because
God.
It's like a film. Only it's a conference of the monsters. Okay, it's the conference of the monsters because if you want to remember who's polluting, we're talking about China. U.S. is number 2. Then we have Russia, we have India and Japan. Brazil. So we have the monsters sitting around the table and arguing whether it should be shell or not, whether it should be a treaty or an agreement. So the big problem here is, the good news is that they committed to give $100 billion a year to the developing countries. The thing that I do not understand about this is the fact, but basically the developed countries are polluting much more. If you're familiar with, just don't even think about industry. Think about Americans turning their air conditioner on in the beginning of the summer and not turning it off throughout the summer. The developed countries are the big criminals in this issue. So giving money to the developing countries is not going to make a big change.
I'm trying to understand and look at let's say the political or even the fight in terror that is connected to this agreement in one way or another, because we understand that Daesh, that ISIS is maybe gaining its money from fuel, from selling fuel, and by stopping the, let's say, the use in fuel, maybe this can just cut a lot of the incomes of Daesh in the Middle East, which can be a good news. Let's look at this.
And it's also very easy to do.
And all these countries that you've mentioned, they already arrived with initiatives and programs and far-reached programs to actually cut their emissions. Brazil, India, US, China. So it's not that only, today they've heard about it and they signed this declarative agreement. They're actually doing something about it.
But the real way of doing something is when you have quotas and when you have deadlines.
So they have it.
But they do not really have deadlines.
They have. I can quote all the quotas and that.
You're right, but there's no mechanism for enforcing them. It's all a matter of trying to be nice. There was a big agreement between the largest 30 cities to be less polluting, etc. I haven't seen much of that happen.
What will happen when the World Trade Market will get into this business?
Yeah. This is also, all the economists are joining in. This is very important. And they're calling to take the money out from coal, oil, and gas and put it in renewable energies, in clean tech. Also, Israel, they went with the 70-people delegation to show, their pride and
we're a really small percentage in what is happening in the climate around the world.
I mean, the only thing you can calculate is how much pollution flying 70 people to Paris and back caused. I do not see a single thing. I don't see people in Israel excited about we are going to pollute less, or industry horrified.
This is the problem of Israel, not of the agreement.
Well, yeah, the agreement is fabulous, but if I don't see Israel industrial companies worried, think about Volkswagen and the story that we all know. You see that the problem is that Volkswagen is treated as a corporation, so it will pay a penalty, but the individuals who are accountable for that, you don't see them pay for it. So if it doesn't come down to the individual person.
But here we saw Obama with his Clean Power Act. Things are happening.
Things are happening. Don't ruin the party, Alex Coleman.
As soon as I close my eyes,
24 hours to just enjoy this.
And I agree with personal liability. It's important.
Very important.
Good. It's good until somebody will make it bad, and Alex Coleman will come here and will tell us.
That's my role on this planet.
I told you. Yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.